These ill-equipped, ill-prepared soldiers would discover the reality of war not long after reaching Washington. With the Confederacy's capital now in Richmond, the seats of the Union and Confederate governments were now just 100 miles apart. Over the next 4 years, hundreds of thousands of Americans would fight, bleed, and die in this short span. It began poorly for the Union, with the First Battle of Bull Run, or First Battle of Manassas, as the victorious Confederates named it. In mid-July, the 90-day enlistments that Lincoln called for after Fort Sumter were about to expire. Lincoln felt pressure from the public to act. Editorials in Northern papers clamored for General-in-Chief Winfield Scott to strike for the capital of the Confederacy. "On to Richmond," they cried. Lincoln hoped a more limited attack at the Confederate forces gathering just across the Potomac in Manassas, Virginia, would be able to accomplish what he wanted most, a quick end to the insurrection, without doing irreparable harm to the South. And so, Brigadier General Irwin McDowell was sent to lead his unseasoned troops into battle with P.G.T Beauregard's equally unseasoned Confederate troops near the vital rail junction in Manassas. "You are green, it is true," Lincoln told McDowell, "but they are green also." McDowell moved his army of 34,000 out of Washington on July 16th. Beauregard's 25,000 Confederate troops awaited him about 25 miles southwest of Washington at Manassas Junction. After a slow, disorganized march, the Union forces neared their destination. A minor skirmish on July 18th accomplished nothing, and McDowell resolved to assault the Confederates' left flank while sending diversionary strikes at the Confederate center and right flank. But it was another 2 days before his troops moved into position. During that time, a crowd of onlookers, including congressmen, gathered around the Union camp. Union Major General James Fry described the scene.
During the 19th and 20th, the bivouacs of McDowell's army at Centerville, almost within cannon range of the enemy, were thronged by visitors, official and unofficial, who came in carriages from Washington, bringing their own supplies. They were under no military restraint and passed to and fro among the troops as they pleased, giving the scene the appearance of a monster military picnic.
By this time, Beauregard's army had been reinforced by General Joseph E. Johnston. General Beauregard later wrote,
"General McDowell, fortunately for my plans, spent the 19th and 20th in reconnaissance. And meanwhile, General Johnston brought 8,340 men from the Shenandoah Valley with 20 guns. And General Holmes brought 1,265 rank and file with 6 pieces of artillery from Aquia Creek. As these forces arrived, most of them in the afternoon of the 20th, I placed them chiefly so as to strengthen my left center and left."
One Confederate officer would gain a nickname during this battle that would follow him long after his own death. Brigadier General Thomas J. Jackson was praised for his defense of the strategic Henry Hill.
We arrived there just as General Barnard Bee's troops, after giving way, were fleeing in disorder. They had come around between the base of the hill and the stone bridge into a shallow ravine, which ran up to a point on the crest where Jackson had already formed his brigade. Every segment of line we succeeded in forming was again dissolved, while another was being formed. It was at this moment that General B used the famous expression, "Look at Jackson's brigade. It stands like a stone wall."
And so was Stonewall Jackson christened at First Manassas. Order was restored in the Confederate line, and things began to go badly for the North. Major General Fry later wrote of the battle's turn.
The batteries of Ricketts and Griffin, by their fine discipline, wonderful daring, and matchless skill, were the prime features in the fight. The battle was not lost till they were lost.
A regiment of artillery moved out of the woods to Captain Charles Griffin's right. He was about to open fire with his artillery when his commanding officer stopped him. The infantry were wearing blue. Believing them to be Union troops, Griffin held his fire.
A moment more, the doubtful regiment proved its identity by a deadly volley, and, as Griffin states in his official report, every cannoneer was cut down and a large number of horses killed, leaving the battery perfectly helpless.
The loss of the artillery and the arrival of Confederate reinforcements was too much. The Union forces were soon forced into a retreat. It began as an orderly withdrawal, but turned into a full, panicked rout. Though much smaller than some battles that would occur later in the war, at the time, Bull Run, or Manassas, was the largest battle in American history. The Union suffered almost 500 dead and 2,500 wounded, captured, or missing. In comparison, the Confederate troops lost almost 400 dead, 1,600 wounded, and a handful missing. The Confederate victory in this fight led many in the South to think that they had all but won the war. But despite the sense of humiliation and despair among many in the North, the defeat at Manassas actually served to strengthen Union forces. The day after the rout at Bull Run, Lincoln signed a bill calling for the enlistment of 500,000 volunteers, these to serve 3 years rather than 3 months. McDowell would bear the brunt of the blame for the defeat. Lincoln would soon remove him from command, to be replaced by the general whose organizational skills had so impressed Senator and General Jacob Cox of Ohio. Major General George B. McClellan would be named General-in-Chief of the Union armies. McClellan would eventually prove disappointing as a commander in the field, but his ability to inspire his men and turn a ragtag bunch of raw recruits into the best-trained professional army on the continent would put the Union on the path to military victory. But victory for the North was still 4 long years away.
Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. Yet, if God wills that it continue, until all the wealth piled by the bondman's 250 years of unrequited toil shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another, drawn with the sword, as was said 3,000 years ago, so still it must be said, the judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us produce more compelling historical content like this, please like, comment below, and share this video with fellow history buffs. And of course, be sure to subscribe to help keep history happening.